Hello everyone. Welcome back to Learn in 5 Minutes, your go-to channel for quick Excel tips and tricks. In today's video, we're diving into pivot tables and pivot charts, a powerful way to analyze and summarize our data in just a few clicks. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create both pivot tables and pivot charts to visualize and analyze your data more effectively. Let's get started. First, let's start by preparing our data. It's important to organize our dataset in a tabular format with clear column headers. Here, I have sales data that includes date, product name, salesperson, region, and sales amount. To create a pivot table, first we'll select any cell within our data. Then, we'll go to the Insert tab and choose Pivot Table. A dialog box will appear with a few options to configure. First, it asks for the data source, either as a table or range. In our case, it's pre-selected correctly. However, if the selection isn't accurate, you can click on the Table Range text box and manually select the correct range. Next, it asks where we want the pivot table to be placed. By default, New Worksheet is selected and we'll leave it as is. But if you prefer to create the pivot table in your existing worksheet, you can select that option instead. Since we're not analyzing multiple tables, we'll skip any additional options and simply click OK. Now that we have our pivot table set up, you can see the pivot table field list on the right. This is the place where all the magic happens. Drag product name to the rows area and drag sales amount to the values area. As you can see, the pivot table has instantly summarized the total sales for each product. We can easily change what data is shown by dragging different fields into the rows, columns, values, or filters. Pivot tables also allows us to add filters. Let's add a filter by salesperson. We'll drag salesperson to the filters area, and now we can filter our data to see sales for each individual salesperson. Another cool feature is grouping data, especially when working with dates. For example, we can group the date column by months or quarters. To do this, let's first drag and drop the date field into the rows area just above product name. Now, in the pivot table, we see the product name is grouped under the date. Next, we'll simply right-click on any of the date values in the pivot table and select Group. Here we must choose how we'd like to group our data. In this case, let's select month. As you can see, the pivot table is now grouped by month, making it easier to analyze our data. To make our pivot table more readable, we can format the values. We'll select any value in the sales amount column, right-click, and select number format. We'll choose currency here to format the sales data properly. We can also apply different styles to our pivot table. Under the Design tab, we can choose any style that fits our preferences. Now let's take our analysis a step further by creating a pivot chart. With our pivot table selected, we'll go to the Insert tab and click on Pivot Chart. Here we have different types of charts to select from. For simplicity, I'll select a column chart. The chart is automatically linked to the pivot table, so any changes we make in the table will reflect in the chart. For instance, let's filter the data by region and you can see the chart updates immediately. That's it for today's video on pivot tables and pivot charts. We've learned how to create a basic pivot table, add filters, group data, and format it. We've also explored how to create a pivot chart to visualize your data. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Learn in 5 Minutes for more quick Excel tips. See you in the next video.